Hello, everybody, and welcome to 3 o'clock with SOC. As always, I'm just going to make sure folks can get access to Spanish interpretation if they need it. Buenas tardes, gracias por estar aquí con nosotros, SOC, en otro foro comunitario. Como siempre, ustedes pueden escuchar el foro comunitario en español a través de una llamada de conferencia. Y el número aparece aquí en la pantalla, 646-749-3122. Y la contraseña para entrar es 779-328-221. I'm very thankful that those that are on today are watching with us. We've got some info today on the candidates for Superintendent of Public Instruction, which is what is going to be on the ballot for the majority of SOC districts on the ballot tomorrow for the February primary. So we are excited to talk about those candidates and get you access to information about those candidates that you can find on a number of different websites. I'm Gabe Charles. I'm the program manager at SOC, and I'm happy to be here with all of you. As always, you can always reach out to us at SOC. You can call us at 672-8090. You can email us at soc@socmilwaukee.org, or you can check out our website, www.socmilwaukee.org. And just as always, we say that we are not working at the office right now. We aren't doing any work in person either. And that's why you don't see me with a mask on today. But if we were working at the office, if we were working in person at all, we would absolutely be wearing our masks to make sure that we're keeping our friends and family safe at this time. I would love to know if anyone's out there watching right now. Go ahead and give us a like or a heart or just a comment saying hi. We'd love to know who's out there watching when we're doing these things live. Otherwise, we just feel like we're talking to a screen or talking to ourselves. So go ahead, don't be shy, give us a hi. I did not mean to rhyme like that. Go ahead and give us any kind of comment in the comment section. And just know that throughout the forum, we will be sharing any information or links in our comment section throughout our time here. So I want to get right into it today. I just want to share what's going to be happening for the rest of this week. So today I'll just be giving out info on the candidates for Superintendent of Public Instruction. And then throughout this week, we've got a lot of really cool folks coming on as well. Tomorrow, we're going to have the MKE Women's Center on to talk about healthy relationships. Then Wednesday, we're going to have Marlena Jackson on from the health department. Then Thursday, we will be talking to some doctors from 16th Street Community Clinic. And Friday, Carrie Cooper from Sewer Pack will be joining us. So as usual, we've got some dope guests for you to expect in the coming days. And we hope that you will join us to see what kind of information and resources they're going to share with us. And we always look forward and are very thankful for our guests. But yeah, let me see if anyone has said hi. Don't want to neglect anyone, but go ahead and always say hi, whether or not you're watching when it's live or after the fact. We love to go back to these videos and see and respond to your comments. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead right into it and share with you a website that I've shared a number of times on the website. It's vote411.org, and this is the website that the League of Women Voters has created to make sure that voters all over the country, and this one in specific will help us get information on elections in Wisconsin, but this is a tool that the League of Women Voters has created. So when you get here, you can see up here, you just vote411.org. It takes you right to this page. Up here, you can choose what language. Right now, they offer English and Spanish. And then you can click register to vote. You can donate. Again, here it says register to vote, verify voter registration, and then find what's on your ballot. And this is a really amazing tool that I'm going to focus on today. But there's a number of other options that you can look into as you scroll down. So it gives voting information by state. You can find out information that way by just clicking on Wisconsin. Gives you different information about where to call if you experience any issues during an election. and then just different options on how to share information. So going back up here, I'm just going to click find what's on your ballot, and then it prompts me to put in my address. So I'm going to go ahead and just put SOC's address in here. Hit submit. And then it gives me a personalized voter guide for my voting district based on my address. So here it says, learn where candidates running for office in your community stand on the issues. You can print or email the information to use as a reference when you actually vote. We do not save your information. It will be lost when you leave this page. Only candidates that appear on your ballot will be listed. Additional information may be available for your area, so be sure to scroll to the bottom of the page for other voter guides. So here again, we choose our language. We can choose English or Spanish. And then you click go to my races. So for the districts that fall in the SOC area on the south side, most of them will only have the Wisconsin Superintendent of Public Instruction on the primary ballot tomorrow, but there will be more offices up for election in the April election. But for the primary tomorrow that will choose the candidates that end up on the ballot in April, there's only this Superintendent of Public Instruction office. So I'm going to click that, and it will take me to provide more information about this office. So we have here, it says Wisconsin Superintendent of Public Instruction, and then it gives a description of what that office is. So here it says the State Superintendent of Public Instruction supervises the state's public schools. Voters elect the State Superintendent of Public Instruction to serve a 4-year term, and there is no term limit. And also something to keep in mind for this office is that it is nonpartisan. So all of them will say NP next to their names because they are nonpartisan. It is not a Democrat or a Republican that runs. It is just a person that runs for that office. So here after that, an explanation of what the office is or what the function is, then it gives all of the candidates that are running. So we have Sheila Briggs, and then you can click on that person for more information as you scroll down. So it lets you know where they're running from. You know, it gives the address of where their campaign is located, gives their background on their education. They can provide answers to questions that the League of Women Voters has given them. So you can see Sheila Briggs has answered these questions. Then they ask interesting questions like, for example, here it says, what in your professional and community background qualifies you for this office? How have you demonstrated nimbleness in responding to unforeseen crises in the past? How will you reduce racial disparities in educational opportunities and outcomes in pre-K through 12 education? And other questions like that. Here we have, how will you ensure there is equitable public education funding, given the competition for funding in the next biennial cycle, and other questions like that. And then down here, it even provides a video for an interview that Wisconsin Eye did with all of these candidates. So again, you can see each of them. I can click any of them. Most of these candidates have answered all of the questions that I formerly read, so you can see where they stand on these different kinds of issues and see the responses to their questions. Something else that's cool you can do is I have Joe Fenrick clicked right now, and I can click compare with another candidate. So let's say I wanted to compare him to another candidate here. We have Sean Hendricks Williams, and then I can see them side to side. So education, and then their answers to these questions side by side. And you can do that with any of these candidates. So say I wanted to now compare Deborah Kerr, then I would click that, and it still compares the original Joe Fenrick with Deborah Kerr. Then I can change who the two people are all together by clicking another person and then compare to someone else. So again, education, their websites, their Facebooks, social medias, and all of that. and then the questions. So I find this really helpful. It's really difficult, especially during primary races, to know about each of the candidates, especially in a statewide election like this one is. So having this ability to see where they stand on different issues is really special. And it's really cool that the League of Women Voters developed this. So again, just go through each of them. It takes about 5-10 minutes to read through the questions. And then these interviews that are provided by Wisconsin Eye are about 15 minutes each. So there's 7 candidates and 15 minutes each. So it would take some time to watch all the videos, but definitely worth it to know where they stand on these issues. The only person that won't have a video, or that doesn't have a video listed, is Joe Fenrick. He does not have one listed down here, but all of the others have videos on there that we will actually see some of in a little bit. So let's go back to my races just to make sure there was nothing else there. So you can see that's the only office that's up for election in this primary election tomorrow. So yeah, if you have any questions about that, go ahead and ask them in the comment section. Again, that's where I'm going to keep my focus today, but you can also register to vote through this website. It's too late to do it through the website for tomorrow's election, but on another day, I will take you through the voter registration process so that you can do it online before the April election that will come up very soon after this primary election tomorrow. And then while I have my screen shared already, I'll just go ahead and share the meetings that are coming up this week. So we have the City County Task Force on Climate and Economic Equity at 11 a.m. today that happened. We also at 1:30 today had the City Plan Commission meeting and the Steering and Rules Committee meeting. Then at 3 happening right now is the City County Task Force on Climate and Economic Equity, and a different work group of that task force. Then after that, we have the City County Task Force on Climate and Economic Equity tomorrow, which is another different separate work group. Then on Wednesday, we have the Licenses Committee meeting at 9 a.m. At 2:30 on Wednesday is the City County Task Force on Climate and Economic Equity again. So they've got a lot of work happening this week. Tune into what that is. Then we have the Public Works Committee meeting on Thursday at 9 a.m. And then we have a CCC meeting, Community Collaborative Commission, Community Outreach meeting on Thursday at 1 p.m. Then we have the Community and Economic Development Committee meeting of the Common Council at 1:30 on Thursday. Also Thursday, we have a Fire and Police Commission meeting. And finally, on Friday, we have a Public Safety and Health Committee meeting, which is another committee of the Common Council. So lots of meetings coming up this week as well. So stay tuned for what's to come in those meetings. And again, that information is shared on the in the comment section on how to access those meetings. And again, if you have any questions about how to get to those meetings, if you have any questions on the website I just shared, never hesitate to reach out or make a comment or reach out to us at SOC. So I made a video compilation of some of the interview questions that I showed you on the Vote 411 website. Just the intro questions about what their vision is for public education, because this office does really determine a lot for public education in Wisconsin. It's the head of public education in Wisconsin. So I think it's important for you all to be able to see where these different candidates stand on those issues. So these are just, it's 6 of the 7 candidates that are in these videos who had interviewed with Wisconsin Eye. So watch closely, listen closely, comment any questions or concerns in the comments as you watch, and I will be back with you after these interview videos.
Dr. Sean Hendricks Williams of Milwaukee is one of 7 candidates for the office of Superintendent of Public Instruction. The primary is February 16th. The general election is April 6th. Dr. Sean, thanks for joining Wisconsin Eye.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we've got a time limit here, and I've got a lot of questions, but I want to give you a minute, and I'll probably start my stopwatch just to give me a summary of why you're most qualified to be superintendent.
So certainly, I possess the same amount of education and licensures as my candidates. I have a little bit of an uncommon career trajectory in that I've worked over 25 years in public, private, charter, and higher ed. I have a very uncommon disposition in that I went from depending on the state to caring for my two children to actually serving at the executive level of the state in the office of the governor. Therefore, not only do I possess the knowledge and the skills and the experience, I possess the disposition and key relationships with the governor and legislators that will be needed in order to implement my Bill of Rights for students and increase outcomes in the state of Wisconsin.
Thank you. You were right on. You were right under that 1 minute. Let me ask a follow-up question. Why is it important that the next superintendent be someone of color, ma'am?
Well, I think because as we look at our achievement gaps and all of the things that the state is on the naughty list for, that I possess experience of actually navigating the systemic challenges. And my experience will be very instrumental in terms of looking at what it is we need to do in Wisconsin differently for educating our students of color, as well as recruiting teachers of color.
Thank you very much. Now, let's talk statewide, the impact of the pandemic on our K-12 schools, and what's your vision for our K-12 schools in the post-pandemic era after we're done with this horrible virus, ma'am?
Well, my vision is that we close an achievement gap. My vision also includes making sure that we have equitable, fully funded schools. In addition to that, my vision is to implement my Bill of Rights for students. And this is a 20-point policy platform that clearly articulates what students from K-3 through 12th grade will experience in their educational experience. And it is on the website. But some of the major things are making sure that we bring back what I call essentials: art, music, gym, phy-ed, health, world language, library, media, and computer science, as well as in the high school years, making sure that we have our students engage in internships and dual credit courses to prepare them for post-secondary life. The most important thing for me, and that is different that I bring, is a focus on post-secondary outcomes for children with disabilities. Many times we talk about making sure our children are college and career ready, but when we talk about college and career ready, we leave out a whole segment of student. We leave out my son, who has multiple severe disabilities. So we need to figure out how to prepare our children with disabilities for either a day program, shelter workshop, assisted employment, whatever. In addition to that, there is a lot of room for our students to make a really good living working in the trades. And so we need to bring back apprenticeships and give our students opportunities to look at the trades, the military, as well as volunteer opportunities such as a Peace Corps.
Steve Krall of Milwaukee is one of 7 candidates for the office of State Superintendent of Public Instruction. The primary is February 16th. The general election is April 6th, excuse me. Steve, welcome to Wisconsin Eye.
Hey, Steve, thank you.
Well, I've got a few questions and we're time limited, so I'm going to give you 1 minute, start my stopwatch. Why are you the most qualified to be superintendent?
Well, I appreciate it, Steve and WISI, for taking the time to do interviews with all the candidates. That's awesome. So I see Wisconsin at a crossroads right now. Opportunity for our kids are dwindling. I mean, I read recently, for the first time in the history of our country, we have a generation who is not doing economically as well as their parents. And I believe part of that is because of our education system. We've got massive amounts of inequities on where funding goes. And it seems that the wealthiest among us tend to have the most resources in their district because we rely on a system of property taxes. I have a lot more issues on this, but in a minute, I want to say that that's why I'm here. I'm calling for change on that. And I believe we need to do 3 things for our finances. The first is to move away from property taxes. For schooling, that would result in like homeowners seeing up to a 30% decrease in their taxes for property. And then we have to establish a basic standard of care at the state level and fund it. So no matter where you live or where you move to, you've got a great school waiting. And I believe we need additional funding for equity. And because what we're doing right now hasn't worked, so we need to change this in order to make it better. Thank you.
Okay. You're a principal of a elementary school. Here's my question. The impact of the pandemic, not only on your school, but statewide, and what's your vision for a post-COVID K-12 system in Wisconsin, sir?
Sure. So I think one thing the pandemic did was really spotlight how in trouble our schools really are. I think that parents and the community members actually now see the challenges facing the schools with inequity. I mean, if we had smaller class sizes, good ventilation, and the PPE needed, we wouldn't necessarily need to have closed the way we did. So what I believe we need to do is take this opportunity and this momentum we have right now and say, well, how can we plan not only for the next pandemic, but how can we ensure that we've got a top-notch education system for every child? And those things will fit hand in hand. I mean, if we can create a great system, it will naturally allow us to overcome this type of challenge that the pandemic has given us.
Sheila Briggs of DeForest is one of 7 candidates for the office of Superintendent of Public Instruction. And the primary is February 16th. The general election is April 6th. Sheila, welcome to Wisconsin Eye.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I have a standard opening question for everybody. You have 1 minute to tell us why you're most qualified to be the superintendent, please.
Fantastic. So I began my 30-year career as a kindergarten teacher. Later, I became principal and then worked in the central office at the Madison Metropolitan School District, supporting 32 elementary school principals. I couldn't have imagined leaving until Tony Evers gave me a call in 2011, and he asked me to join DPI as the assistant state superintendent. And so I jumped at the opportunity, and then I was reappointed by Carolyn Stanford Taylor in 2019 when Tony became our governor. So serving in the state superintendent's cabinet for the last 10 years has been a really incredible experience. And so I know that we still have a lot of work to be done, and I am ready to continue that work, leading our state as the next state superintendent.
Nicely timed. Okay, first question. You have on your website a quote saying a pandemic is an opportunity, quote, a portal, a gateway between one world and the next. Tell me your vision for K-12 in Wisconsin once we get through the pandemic, please.
Yeah, so all of my priorities are really wrapped around this idea that school wasn't working for all of our kids prior to the pandemic. So we have to really decide that we're going to move forward in a way that's different. I think there are many things that we really need to rethink about what we're doing when it comes to education. First of all, we need to make sure that we are looking at the priorities that we expect for our kids. And that has to be beyond just reading and test scores. We really got to look at our kids as whole children and make sure that we're approaching all of the different important aspects of education that we care about as Wisconsinites. Second, we need to get back to making sure our teachers are in a place of honor and support and listen to their voices in what we're doing in the classroom. And secondly, we've learned some things through this pandemic. A few things have actually worked really well, and we need to make sure we bring those things into the future so that we're making sure that every kid gets the education that they deserve.
Which of our K through 12 students have been hurt the most by our pandemic, Sheila?
Yeah, I think it's varied a lot. We have some special education students that we're really struggling to meet their needs, particular in a remote setting for some, although I have heard some stories of students that are getting their needs better than ever in a remote environment. So I think that's something that we have to consider. Certainly our students that are living in poverty and our students of color that oftentimes have parents that are serving in the front lines and aren't able to be home and support them in the way that others are struggling immensely. And that's why we've worked to make sure that kids have safe spaces to go and get support during the day for remote instruction in places like Milwaukee and Madison.
Jill Underly of Hollandale is one of 7 candidates for the office of Superintendent of Public Instruction. The primary is February 16th. The general election is April 6th. Jill, welcome to Wisconsin Eye.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I've enjoyed interviewing. You're the sixth candidate, and I have a standard opening question. You have 1 minute to describe why you're the most qualified candidate.
All right, very good. My platform is all about equity, giving every child what they need every day. And this was crafted from my own experiences as a parent of 2 children, a teacher, an elementary and high school principal, a UW student affairs professional, and an administrator at DPI, both in educator licensing and in Title I, which is federal programs that I worked on in Milwaukee and Green Bay. And most lately as the superintendent of the Pecatonica Area School District. I'm all about public schools 100% all the way. I support public schools and I'll advocate for increased funding in mental health, early childhood, and teacher recruitment. Plus, I'm the only candidate who's currently leading a school district during the pandemic. I've seen firsthand the inequities that exist in our neediest schools. The pandemic has amplified the needs for universal early childhood programming, affordable high-speed wireless internet, and the need for collaboration. And I have experience working with school boards, administrators, union leaders, legislators, and professional organizations at the local, state, and federal level.
Well, I want to talk about one provision on your campaign site. Adequate and fair funding. Can you be more specific? Are you talking about going beyond the 2/3 state funding? Are you talking about reducing the amount of property taxes that goes for K-12? Talk to me a little bit more about what adequate and fair funding means, please.
Sure. Adequate and fair funding means that every school has what they need, or every school district has what they need to provide for the kids. We have always said that the promise has been 2/3 funding, and we know that that promise, especially in the last decade and a half, has not materialized. We see a lot of discrepancies, especially with the introduction of new categorical aids such as per pupil aids. And also our school districts do not get fully reimbursed for special education costs. And so, you know, right now it's around 30%. And so our school districts have to transfer large sums from their general fund to cover special education because we have to balance those out. And my district transfers almost $500,000 every year. And that money comes from programs that serve all kids. And so the state needs to step up their obligation.
Troy Gunderson of West Salem is one of 7 candidates for the office of the State Superintendent of Public Instruction. The primary is February 16th. The general election is April 6th. Troy, welcome to Wisconsin Eye.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, I've got a few questions on issues, but I want to give you a minute, and I'll time it just to give us a summary of why you're most qualified to be state superintendent, please.
Well, my name is Troy Gunderson, and I just retired after a 35-year career in public education. I was a teacher, a principal, and a superintendent. I'm 5th generation from Wisconsin. My mother's a teacher, my wife's a teacher, my father-in-law's a teacher. Public education is all we know. It's what we've done our entire life. I think compared to the other 5, I have a statewide perspective that some of them can't bring to the table. I'm just drop dead passionate about moving the needle ahead for the entire state. And I think that's going to cause us to take a few looks at equity around the way we pay and around the way we treat race and gender and all of those kinds of things. But I think what separates me is passion, a statewide view, and I just want to do this, and I think I can make a difference.
Well done. Okay, let's talk about the impact of COVID on K-12 schools statewide. Specifically, what's your vision for K-12 schools in the post-COVID era, assuming we get there?
Well, I think the first thing we need to do is assess what happened in terms of the learning gaps for kids and being able to give the resources to the schools they need to reconnect with students. Also to be able to assess what worked well and what didn't. I think like any type of crisis, we learn some new stuff and we're able to leverage that. And so how can we leverage that moving forward after we reconnect to the families and see where they're at? But I think the most important piece for me is to be able to stop and think about what role can public education have in moving the entire state forward in a post-COVID world. I think that our economy, our society, our whole way of life in Wisconsin is dependent upon public education stepping to the forefront and being a player and moving us ahead in terms of serving families families, communities, and children to create the next generation of workers.
Deborah Kerr of Caledonia is one of 7 candidates for the office of State Superintendent of Public Instruction. The primary is February 16th. The general election is April 6th. Deborah, welcome to Wisconsin Eye.
Thank you very much.
Well, time is limited. I know you're busy, and I've got a long list of questions, but take a minute and give us your elevator speech and why you're the most qualified to be state superintendent, please. I'm counting. Okay.
Okay, here we go. I've dedicated the last 40 years of my life to education. I've worked in all sectors of education. I'm parochial educated. I've taught in a private school. I've created a 4K charter school, and I've dedicated the last 34 years of my life to public education. I'm an award-winning teacher, principal, high school athletic director, successful basketball coach, and I've also worked in rural schools as well as suburban schools. I have been elected presidential leadership at the Milwaukee Rotary, our state superintendent's organization as president, and our national state superintendent's association. And so I have great relationships with people on both sides of the aisle. I have advocated for kids for the last 5 years at Congress and at the state capitol, and I have gotten teacher licensing laws changed and implemented to put more teachers into the pipeline. And I've got the energy and passion to do it. And if you need more information, kerforkids.com will tell my whole story. But I've also the only candidate who has closed achievement gaps, raised graduation rates for kids of color, and won state and national awards of character.
Okay, well done. Okay.
All right.
My turn. Questions. The
Okay.
impact of the pandemic on our K-12 schools. What's been the biggest, most significant change, damage to our K-12 schools? What's your vision for our K-12 schools post-pandemic, please, ma'am?
This pandemic has exacerbated all of the inequities that we've known existed for a long time. And so we need to address the extensive learning loss of all of our kids. All of our kids are not winning right now in Wisconsin, Steve. And we've got to come together as communities to make sure that all of our kids are served and served well. That means equitable technology, robust internet, food insecurity issues have to be dealt with, but now we got to get back to face-to-face instruction. I am the only candidate that's come out with a statewide plan to do so. Our administrators and our leaders are ready to do that. Our teachers want to come back and see our kids. Our parents have been heroic in dealing with this virtual learning and their abilities to support us. And so it's now time to get back to business and get back to putting our kids back on track to achieve excellence in all that they do.
So I hope you found that helpful. Again, those videos can all be found on the vote411.org website that you can find in the comment section, so that you can go ahead and click it and find all of that information. Again, those were 6 videos of the 7 candidates running for Superintendent of Public Instruction, which is the head of public instruction in Wisconsin. And I do just want to give a quick little checklist of all of the, not all of, but most of the functions of what that means. So what is the state Superintendent of Public Instruction? They head with the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction. They oversee public schools and libraries. They seek and promote ways to improve schools. They evaluate the performance of schools. They are elected to serve a 4-year term. And again, this is a nonpartisan office and it does not have a term limit. So it's 4 years, but you can be elected for as many 4-year terms as you decide to run. So again, I hope you found that information helpful. Feel free to comment any questions or concerns you have. And after the primary election tomorrow, which will be going on from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., again, if you need help finding your polling place, we can help you do that. But there are a number of different avenues you can use to help find your polling place. But again, we will go deeper into the stance of each candidate after tomorrow's primary election, once we have the final candidates that will be running on the April ballot. And in the April election, there will be even more offices up for election that we will focus on and explain, just like I did with today for the State Superintendent of Public Instruction. Now I'm going to go ahead and share a video that Marlene created for us or brought to us that will teach us how to boost our immune system during COVID-19.
I'm Dr. Frida, and today I'm going to give you 7 ways to boost your immune system naturally. Raise your hands if you love getting sick. No? Well, raise your hands if you like to avoid getting sick at all costs, if you want to avoid things like the common cold, the flu, and all types of bacterial and fungal and viral invasions. Well, the best way to prevent getting sick is to boost your immune system. So today, I'm going to give you 7 tips on how to boost your immune system naturally. Keep watching. I'm Dr. Frida. I'm a triple board certified physician and I practice medicine at Emory University Hospital Midtown in Atlanta, Georgia. We all want to live our healthiest and happiest lives, and a sure way to do that is to maximize our immunity. Now, you can find all kinds of very expensive vitamins and supplements online and in health stores, and many of them do have benefits. Many of them do work. However, you do not have to spend a lot of money in order to boost your immune system. In fact, if you just look in your refrigerator or in your pantry, you very likely will find that you already have ways that you can boost your immune system naturally. So let's get started. Tip number 1, drink lemon water. First thing in the morning, I want you to grab a big glass of water and squeeze a lemon into it. Lemons and other citrus fruits, such as grapefruit, tangerines, limes, are excellent sources of vitamin C. Vitamin C is an excellent booster of the immune system. It builds the immune system. It increases your body's production of white blood cells. Now, your white blood cells act like your body's soldiers. They are a line of defense prepared to fight infectious invasions. White blood cells are also key in the production of antibodies, which also help to boost your immune system. Vitamin C is also known to decrease the duration of respiratory illnesses. So if you do get sick, if you get a common cold or a viral illness that affects your breathing, the vitamin C will help you to be sicker for a shorter period of time. Vitamin C also has antioxidants, which help to get rid of free radicals and to decrease inflammation. Vitamin C is also good for digestion. If you want to find out more ways that lemon water and vitamin C are good for your overall health, be sure to check out my video on 10 healthy habits for a better you and a better life right after you finish watching this video. Click the link in my description. Tip number 2, eat garlic. Now, the odor of garlic will not exactly leave you smelling like a flower. No. But garlic is actually a part of the lily family. And it is also an excellent booster of the immune system because it contains allicin. Allicin is a compound that is pungent and oily, and it comes from crushing garlic or chopping garlic. Allicin has really wonderful properties because it increases the response of your white blood cells. And it also has antimicrobial or anti-infection qualities. 1 clove of garlic contains 5 milligrams of calcium and 12 milligrams of potassium. Garlic can also lower the blood pressure. And garlic is best eaten if it is raw or cooked as little as possible because excess heat tends to denature or inactivate the enzymes that actually help with the immune system. If you want to find out more about how garlic can lower your blood pressure, make sure you watch my video on how to lower blood pressure naturally as soon as you finish watching this video. Tip number 3, broccoli. Good old-fashioned, jolly green broccoli is another way to boost your immune system naturally. Now, in addition to containing vitamin C, and yes, broccoli does contain vitamin C, it also contains vitamin A, which helps with the production of white blood cells, specifically in fighting viruses. It also contains vitamin E, which is another antioxidant. It gets rid of free radicals, decreases inflammation. Broccoli also contains beta carotene, which is another antioxidant, and beta carotene is actually good for the eyes and good for the skin. And your skin is another major part of your immune system. Tip number 4, spinach. Popeye was really onto something when he used to pop those cans of spinach in his mouth, because spinach is another excellent way to boost your immune system naturally. Not only does it contain vitamin C, it also contains beta carotene and calcium and magnesium and potassium. Spinach contains iron and folate, so it has all kinds of ways to boost your immune system and to decrease inflammation. Spinach should be cooked as little as possible or not at all in order to get the maximum benefits. Tip number 5, ginger. Ginger is a flowering plant which is closely related to turmeric. It has been known to decrease nausea and vomiting, and it contains a bioactive compound called gingerol. Gingerol is closely related to capsaicin, which is a component of chili pepper and gives chili pepper its spiciness. Ginger has antioxidant properties, which decrease inflammation, and it has antimicrobial properties as well. Question: ginger has all types of medicinal properties. How many of you are already using ginger to boost your immune systems or for other medical reasons? Please let me know how you are using it and what types of results you get. Comment down below. Tip number 6, red bell peppers. Little known fact, red bell peppers actually have twice as much vitamin C as many of the citrus fruits. It also has antioxidants, it has beta carotene, it's great for healthy skin. So red peppers are another way to boost your immune system naturally. Tip number 7 on how to boost your immune system naturally: go to bed. Get rest. Getting rest is another important way to rejuvenate and to boost your immune system. When you are sleep deprived, you tend to have a surge or an increase in stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline. When these stress hormones are on the rise, they tend to decrease the effectiveness of your immune system. Sleep deprivation also decreases the amount of white blood cells you produce. It decreases the amount of protective cytokines. It decreases the amount of lymphocytes, which are very important for fighting infection. So overall, you must get proper rest in order to boost your immune system. Most people should be getting about 7 to 9 hours of good quality sleep per night. So in order to boost your immune system, good night, go to bed. Another way to boost your immune system naturally is to drink immune boosting juices. And you can make your own juices right at home. You can use ingredients such as citrus fruits. You can use apples, another good immune booster. You can use the spinach, the carrots. You can use lemons, ginger. You can mix and make your own recipes using the foods that help to boost your immune system. Be sure to share this video with the people you care about. And if you have not done so already, subscribe to my channel and hit the notification button so you know when I release new helpful medical information. Also, make sure you follow me on Instagram at dr.frida. And most importantly, do your best to live your healthiest, happiest life. I'm Dr. Frida.
I love that. I think it's really important to keep our immune system as healthy as possible. Dr. Frida definitely called me out on that sleep portion, so I'm going to do better to sleep more to keep my immune system working as well as it can. And I'm also going to make some yummy juices. So if you are going to make some yummy juices too, or eat some new kinds of vegetables and fruits, why don't you give us a like or a comment, or let us know in the comments that you're going to do that. But that is the end of our program today, everybody. I hope that you found the information helpful. Again, if you have any questions or concerns about the primary election that's happening tomorrow, please let us know. 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. the polls are open at your typical voting location. But if you want to confirm that, go ahead and reach out to us, or you can find it on the city website where you can enter your address and they confirm your voting location as well. Also at myvote.wisconsin.gov, they confirm your voting location as well. So thank you so much for being with us today, everybody. And join us tomorrow to talk with the MKE Women's Center about healthy relationships. Join us Wednesday to talk with Marlena Jackson about COVID updates from the health department. Thursday, we're going to have some doctors from the 16th Street Clinic. And then Friday, Carrie from Sewer Pack will be joining us about some different projects that are going on with them. So join us this week, and thank you all for being with us. I'll leave you with some thank yous.
Hello, SOC viewers. I'm Isabel from the Polonia neighborhood and 2020 graduate from Zablocki Elementary. We would like to thank everyone for supporting our 3 o'clock with SOC Live show and for completing our SOC survey. In addition to thanking our residents for tuning in and sharing our show, we would also like to thank the following sponsors: Wisconsin Voices, Community Development Block Grants, Neo Philanthropy State Infrastructure Fund, Movement Voter Project, Catholic Campaign for Human Development, Zilber Foundation, City of Milwaukee Office of Violence Prevention, Tides Foundation, City of Milwaukee Promise Zones, all the faithful individuals who support SOC through their personal donations. Thank you.